Welcome everybody to the 30-day flow challenge. This is going to be the onboarding series for you all to get yourselves ready to play the game of flow over the next 30 days with an amazing group of individuals who will also be joining you. But kind of leading the way or coaching the way is going to be myself, Scott Winter. I'm with a company called Brain Friendly Dynamics in the Collaborative Commons. Do a lot of work in the brain space, and I'm really fortunate that my colleague Damon Valentino is going to be on this journey with us as well. So Damon, just give us a little bit of a background about yourself, and then we'll kind of jump into the onboarding process.
Sounds great. Welcome, everybody. My name is Damon Valentino, and I was trained in performance psychology. I am a high-performance coach. I work with a lot of elite athletes, executives, organizations, and teams. And I have put flow at the center of most of my professional practice. And so it's not just for those types of people to enter into a flow state. And so I work with people in all walks of life to try to make them perform better and feel better.
Which I think it kind of talks about why we started this program. You know, we were working with a group of athletes right before things kind of went sideways with us with COVID. And we created a 30-day flow challenge, and it kind of started to stick. And I really do believe that we want to bring the science of flow and the science of optimal performance to the masses. You know, it's kind of been really designed towards the elite athletes, you know, high performance, these, you know, go big or go home kind of people. And I think what you and I have discovered is that there's a real need for it just for the common person. And so, you know, why are we here then, you know, if we put that into context?
Right. Well, you know, as we all know, a lot more is unknown these days than ever. And when doing a little bit deeper dive as to how those people who are able to survive and thrive difficult periods, it became really clear that the philosophy is really around taking the next best step. Our ability to stay alert, to stay calm, to assess the reality for what it really is, and decide based on our own values and based on our current situation, what's the next best step for us. And so for us to be able to discover and really create a new optimal is essentially the goal for this program for everybody.
And I think it's important too that what at least what I think we both intended is to get people to be aware of the choices that they're making when they get triggered, so they don't go off the rails. They don't say I'm overly stressed. And so again, I've loved the practice of what is the next best step for me right now, and in a sense, really training our nervous system to really kind of show up in a very different way. That allows us to be better together. So let's talk a little bit about our design here. And to me, this is the one that I go to, the statement that you've kind of coached me on. So would you speak a little bit more about the idea of doing the small things big and the big things small?
Well, you know, again, it's a overwhelming time, and it's real easy to sort of think about how much is out of our control. For me personally, one of the ways that I've reconnected is in the simple practices in my life. I have a daughter who's 8 years old, and now I really drill down, and when I'm making her macaroni and cheese with peas, I do it like a Zen master. I really kind of hone in and focus on the task that's right in front of me, even though my brain wants to kind of pull away and think about all the big things. So doing the small things big is a really great way to continue to regulate our nervous system, stay in the present moment, and then doing the big things small. Obviously, there's a lot that's really overwhelming right now. So instead of thinking about how massive the project looks in front of us or how we're all going to go online, what am I going to do with my children in the fall if school is closed, try to break all those things down, brick by brick, breath by breath, living more in the moment. And you'll hear that a lot from us. When we're in the present moment, we have our faculties, we have control of our nervous system, and we're able to see clear enough to live in the reality and make what is in the next most optimal step in front of us.
Right. So let's kind of talk about kind of the way we design this program. So, you know, our real emphasis here is about state management. This is not so much about doing as it is about being, and really being present about what am I being right now, so I can do those things more effectively, do those small things big, and make those big things small. I think we talk a lot about time management and stress management, but ultimately the 30-day challenge in terms of our design is really about helping people develop that state management. So talk about this part here, Damon, because I really love the frame around these three components as well in our part of our design.
Yeah, I mean, the efficacy that I find within the 30-day flow challenge is that you're going to have accountability. There are going to be daily tasks. Mind you, they're small, 10 minutes a day, but that accountability really helps to drive focus and keep motivation levels high. With that, you're going to develop some consistency. So it's really, the research shows it's not so much about the length of time, for example, for how much we exercise, but are we on a day-to-day basis spending 5-10 minutes meditating, exercising, doing the little things? So this program really has built in that consistency and connection. You know, you think about Facebook, you think about Twitter, you think about these other social media sites that are kind of notoriously negative, and they're a disaster for our nervous system. We like to see ourselves as kind of the Facebook for positive change and positive psychology. So that connection, seeing what other people are doing, small tasks, mini wins, giving each other high fives, that this triage right here is a really powerful way to begin making habit change.
Great. And then again, the idea of what I love about this idea of psychologically safe space is that our previous challenges have always allowed people to kind of share, allow themselves to be vulnerable, show some courage, but also know that they're going to be supported in a safe environment. I mean, this is not really Facebook. This is Soulbook. You know, this is like really people showing up at their best with each other who are also trying to be their best. And I really love the space that we've created. And so again, you'll notice when we go through the overview of the app, that wall of wins is really where people are kind of publishing those attempts, those daily little tasks that they've, you know, had some wins throughout the course of their day on a weekly basis.
And it's really interesting, you know, just a quick side note on that one as well. Google did a robust study, what made the most effective teams? And across the board, it came down to feeling psychologically safe. So this isn't a soft skill. This is something that will allow us to unfold, to become a little more flexible, nimble, vulnerable. And for those of you who are sort of thinking about, wow, I hopefully I'm not going to be put on the spot in this program. That's the beauty and the elegance of it as well. You share what you want to share. You comment when you want to comment. Other than that, you're going to be watching videos and really assessing your own feeling around how this is landing with you. So we want to make it really clear that this is a safe place for you to be able to explore some of those things.
Right, which I think plays into this next one of training your attention toward positivity and community. I mean, that ability to kind of put into a place where sometimes the world around us doesn't seem always so positive and seems communities fragmented. And I think what we built through this challenge is really that ability to do both. And so I love that, just training my attention. What am I looking for? I mean, the brain will find what it looks for if we are tending to it. So what are we mindfully really focusing our attention towards? And I can't think of two greater pillars, really. So
right.
Yeah. And then the last part here.
Yeah, I mean, these, you know, the science and the research around neuroscience has been really clear that as adults, we still have the capacity to change our brain structure. And these tiny drip of gratitude, of mini wins, of positivity over a course of 30 days can lead to new neural networking happening in your brain. And that's really ultimately the goal, is for you to leave this program with some new habits already embedded, and whatever it is that you choose to go out and do in your life is less important to us than your ability to kind of like, you know, prune some of those old habits that may not be working for you, and in its place, develop some of the super highways so that you can live in that more positive space.
I do want to highlight to folks that what we are delivering is really based on a lot of research around the brain and the nervous system. And you'll hear words like, for example, you just use the word pruning, which is what happens to our neurons when we kind of, you know, lessen our load on a particular neural circuitry. If we focus on something else, we start to develop that new neural circuitry, or that what's called neuroplasticity. So, you know, I do want people to know that we're not coming out of this as, you know, from the hip. This is really intentional and led by science. And we're going to be introducing more of these so that you guys can develop some, I guess you can say, an IQ around, your neural health. So with that, let's talk about the ways that we found how people really are successful and how they participate. So, this one is really a key one because presence is our first week, staying present. So, try these things, see what happens, and just start to notice if you're feeling a little bit frustrated, and then just explore to why. And that's where the learning comes in. The next one here, I love this one because you use this a lot. So talk about this piece here, Damon.
Well, in this one right here, this comes from improvisation theater. Really started this one as a way to build off of one another. And when we even think about using the phrase yes and when we're in conversation, we're not shutting people down, and we're not defaulting to kind of an old storyline. We're taking in more information, and we're allowing ourselves to kind of see and recognize new patterns, potentially see and recognize some blind spots that we have, and allowing ourselves to access more within us. So when we're potentially feeling triggered, if we can sort of reframe that as using some of this front-loaded language, we can potentially allow that situation to go to a deeper place. So really, one of our themes here is going to be deep connection. And in this day and age, it's really important for all of us to hear one another. We can respectfully disagree, but this is a really nice tenet and model for us to be able to think about on the front end of this challenge.
Great, thank you. Be yourself. I mean, everyone's invited, whether you're from, whatever your faith or religion is. I mean, there is no, everyone can participate and show up with whatever your beliefs are. Because again, it's just about you being you in this experience and just discovering what's working for you and what's not working for you, and not judging it as it says up there, but recognizing what's serving you and what's serving your neighborhood, your community, your friends, your family, and so on. So this one I love. So explain this one, Damon.
So there's never been another you in the history of humanity. And because of that, you are the expert of you. We have a lot of research-based information, and we have established a kind of a fence around the playground for all of us to play in. How you determine and what you choose what lands with you is really solely up to you. So making that really clear up front is really important. That said, we also share a lot of the same biology. And so, we are all humans, even though we're all individuals. So there'll be a lot about this that feels very communal. But at the end of the day, the onus is on you to take what lands and use it, and really kind of push away the things that aren't feeling very effective, or that maybe are against your own personal belief system. It's not that you need to take on every single video or, all the information that we share with you. Be very mindful and respectful of your own uniqueness, because we certainly will.
Great. Again, I love this. Take what works, ditch the rest. We're just sharing information. This reminds me, when I first learned how to sail, I just remember we were about ready to tack, and the instructor said, "Hey, we're going to tack here in a moment. And when the boom is going to slide over, and it basically was going to knock me off the boat." And I'm all, "So you're telling me to move?" He goes, "Nope, I'm just giving you information." And I always think about the best way to learn is give people an experience, a little bit of information so that they make better choices. And I think that's just it. We're just sharing information. You guys can choose how you wish to play, but just notice what's working for you, and take the best that works, and don't worry about trying to do something that isn't working for you. And it's a good rule in participating in just about everything. It's almost like if it's not a yes, then it's a no, right, kind of thing. So this one here, Damon.
Yeah, it really kind of, also dovetails with the N=1. But when we stay open to experience, we're either one of two places typically. We're either expanding and taking in more information, or we're contracting and we're kind of shutting down and playing the same storylines that we are comfortable with. So using this month as sort of an experimental ground to see what does trigger you in the positive, where are your defensiveness types of emotions coming up, what are you thinking about at the end of the day? What's kind of gnawing away at you. This is a really powerful way for you to kind of enter into this flow challenge month with that open curiosity, and just sort of be curious about all of it. And as it says in the first prompt here, stay present, try and explore, run the experiment. And then, at the end of the month, we can reflect and really kind of assess what you want to keep and what you don't.
This one is a big one. So again, if someone shares something vulnerable, it stays within our community, and I think that's just it. I thought in the last previous challenges, people were opening up, and what I loved was the support that people gave to each other in the challenge. And so again, something bubbles for you. Just know that the wall of wind and the gratitude space is really kind of a sacred space for the community that we're working in. And I think this is a real important one. So. And then this last one here, Damon.
Oftentimes we think about what we need to fix. We think about what's not going well with us. And, inherently as humans, we have a negativity bias. It's around 9-1 where we're sort of pattern recognizing the dangerous or the negative things around us, which means that we're not often playing to our strengths. And this is a mental skill to be able to kind of focus on the things that we do well, and in a way kind of put those glasses on when we approach and deal with the challenges or the difficulties or other relationships in our lives. Research is really clear on this one as well. When we play to our strengths, rising tide lifts all boats. And so it really kind of brings up the things that we sort of quote unquote feel that are our weaknesses. And we'll discuss a little bit more if you want to go in and play a little bit more robust with character strengths. We'll come to that in a minute, but just know that there are things that you do well. And when you show up to different situations, be mindful to kind of keep that at the forefront.
That's great. And so with that, there are weekly themes that we built into this program. And so each week has a different theme. So week 1 is around presence. Week 2 is around connection. Week 3 is around choice. And week 4 is about growth. And each week we will be giving you a little bit of information, a little bit of opportunity to practice some elements so that you can demonstrate that skill set of what does it mean to be present. So we'll be offering Damon will be offering up some different tools and techniques to allow for more presence, to get into more connection. And the reason why connection is in there is I don't think a lot of people realize that the greatest experience of flow is in relationship, is in conversation with other people. And so I think that's why we have it in here, is because we want people to realize, and this is a real important skill set because our brain is social. We need to connect. That third one is around choice. So again, just elevating your awareness around what choices are you making? Are they contributing? Are they taking away? Without judgment, it's a choice. And so recognizing, and I think for me, I think I've shared with you a number of times, Damon, that 3 inflection points of choice, recognizing what I'm choosing to let in, how I'm choosing to process it, and then how I choose to reflect it out in terms of how I express it. And then the 4th is really about growth. And we'll get into the skill challenge ratio that we want to kind of continue to stretch ourselves in a daily basis. And sometimes the growth might be, letting go of some things so you have more room to grow, so I think there is some key components. But is there anything else you wanted to add to these 4 themes? Because I think we've been very intentional in putting this into practice over the next 30 days.
No, I think you hit all the main points, Scott. I definitely just want to then give you the image that flow is sort of the umbrella around all of these 4. Right. So they all have a connection to our ability to cultivate the conditions to get into flow. But they're also really wonderful ways to be as a human being. And these pillars are really, we've put a lot of time and research into coming up with very elegant, succinct, impactful ways to schedule this month. And so we're really proud of the ability for us to go through presence, connection, choice, and growth.
Yeah, so we're definitely looking forward to it. And so with that, we're going to continue to add some new videos and just keep following along because it's going to be in order. Our next little introduction is going to be really about the science of flow. So we'll see you on the next little video. See you guys.
Take care.